Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're decoding a seriously fascinating blueprint from a wellness designer on how to generate what literally feels like 100 times more daily energy. We are going to fundamentally change how you view your daily fatigue by looking deep inside your own biology, using the principles of an ancestral reset. Let's get into it.
So let's start with a quick reality check. How often do you hit that brutal midday wall? You know exactly the feeling I'm talking about, right? You're exhausted, you've got this heavy brain fog, and you're struggling to focus on even the simplest of tasks. A lot of us just write this off as a normal part of modern life, or maybe we just blame it on getting older. But what if that chronic fatigue isn't normal at all? What if it's actually a symptom of a massive, microscopic crisis happening inside your body right this second?
Well, here is a statistic directly from our source material that is absolutely wild. Because of severe cellular damage caused by our daily habits, most of us are currently operating at a mere 20% of our true performance capacity. Think about that for a second. You are leaving 80% of your potential energy, your focus, and your vitality completely on the table every single day.
Your body's energy factory. Okay, let's dive into the fascinating cellular biology behind where all our daily energy actually comes from.
Meet your mitochondria. These are your body's microscopic energy factories. Whenever you take in nutrients and oxygen, your mitochondria immediately get to work producing something called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. You can think of ATP as the literal energy currency of your body. Whether you're walking around, talking, thinking through a tough problem, or even just digesting your lunch, your very existence relies entirely on these little factories continuously pumping out ATP. If they stop, well, life stops.
To really wrap our heads around this, think about your smartphone. When you first buy it, it's got a brand new battery, right? Endless stamina, peak performance, you don't even stress about charging it. But fast forward after a few years of heavy use, and you've got a completely worn out battery. It drains rapidly, it crashes in the middle of the day, and it just unpredictably shuts down on you. This is a perfect metaphor for exactly how mitochondrial depletion feels in the human body. When you feel that awful midday crash, that is quite literally your cellular battery dying.
Section 2, the modern energy drain. The really crucial point here is understanding why our batteries are so depleted in the first place. Let's uncover the hidden modern habits that are actively destroying our cellular machinery.
So the root of the problem is that our modern lifestyle creates a profound mismatch with our 6 million-year-old evolutionary biology. First up, prolonged sitting. When your muscles aren't being used, your body just assumes it doesn't need as much energy, which actually signals your mitochondria to literally shrink and stop producing. Second is excess sugar. Ancient humans definitely didn't have highly processed sweets. Today, wild blood sugar and insulin spikes generate massive amounts of active oxygen, which severely damages our cells. Third, chronic stress, which completely overloads the system and usually drives us to bad habits like drinking or overeating. And finally, smoking, which directly poisons these energy factories.
And this brilliantly illustrates the horrific four-step chain reaction that something as toxic as smoking unleashes on our biology. First, it introduces severe oxidative stress. This leads directly to step 2, which is physical damage to the unique DNA inside your mitochondria. Step 3 is chronic cellular inflammation. This ages your cells incredibly fast. And step 4 is probably the scariest part. It blocks a process called mitophagy. Mitophagy is your body's essential cellular cleanup crew. When it's blocked, dead and degraded mitochondria just pile up inside your cells like garbage. They take up space, but they produce absolutely zero energy.
Section 3, fueling the factory right. Okay, it's not all doom and gloom here. We can actually reverse this. Let's shift over to some highly actionable, science-backed dietary solutions.
So what exactly do our mitochondria crave? First up, antioxidants. Think of an apple you leave out on the kitchen counter. It turns brown because it oxidizes, right? It essentially rusts. Well, the exact same thing happens in our cells due to active oxygen. Foods like blueberries, spinach, and almonds neutralize this rusting process. Second, we need anti-inflammatory foods. Right now, the average person consumes a crazy toxic 1:30 ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. That drives massive inflammation. We need to correct that back down to a 1:3 ratio by eating a lot more seafood, walnuts, and flaxseed oil. Finally, the vitamin B complex. These are absolutely vital for metabolizing nutrients into actual ATP energy. And remember, there are 9 different types of B vitamins that all work synergistically together. So eating whole foods like pork, brown rice, and eggs is vastly superior to just popping a single isolated supplement.
But look, even if you eat the perfect diet,
your body still needs a logistics infrastructure to physically deliver those nutrients and oxygen to the mitochondria. That infrastructure is your water and salt balance. The water inside our bodies is essentially ancient seawater. If you consume refined table salt, which is basically just 98% isolated sodium, it completely disrupts your internal water balance. But natural salt, like Yukishio from Okinawa, is about 72% sodium, beautifully balanced with 28% essential sea minerals. Swapping out your table salt for a high-mineral natural salt is literally one of the most critical upgrades you can make for your cellular delivery system.
Section 4. The Hunter-Gatherer Reset. Now that we've fixed the fuel, we've got to fix the environment. Let's explore the compelling evolutionary contrast that holds the ultimate key to total biological restoration.
Here's the hard truth. Our mitochondria were simply not designed for climate-controlled comfort, sitting on soft couches, and constantly snacking all day. They evolved to specifically multiply and thrive under the harsh, super-demanding conditions of our ancient ancestors. The hunter-gatherer reality involved constant daily motion, frequent periods of really intense hunger, and brutal cold exposure. By completely shielding ourselves from physical hardship today, we've essentially told our mitochondria to just go to sleep. So how on earth do we mimic that ancient environment today? First, you want to hit a baseline of at least 8,000 daily steps. Next, you need to mix aerobic exercise with high-intensity interval training, or HIIT. Our source actually notes that just 150 minutes of this a week lowers the risk of early death by an incredible 31%. Plus, exercise releases a chemical called BDNF, which acts like literal fertilizer for your brain cells, prompting them to grow and demand way more mitochondria. Finally, incorporate fasting and cold exposure, like just ending your morning shower with 30 seconds of freezing cold water. These things signal to your body that it needs to ramp up survival energy, which forces your cellular factories to multiply and level up.
Section 5. The Power of Hormesis. Now, what's really interesting here is how all of this ties together into a single, incredibly powerful biological hack for resilience. It's a concept called hormesis. Hormesis is the biological process where applying a mild, completely controlled stress, followed immediately by adequate recovery, causes your body to overcompensate and actually grow stronger than it was before. Your cellular factories will only ever expand when they're pushed slightly past their comfort zone and then given the resources and the downtime to rebuild.
So here's what hormesis looks like in practice. It's a freezing cold plunge followed by a hot, relaxing sauna. It's skipping a meal to fast, but then following that up with incredibly nutrient-dense whole foods. It's intense weightlifting followed by a deep massage, or really hard, focused cognitive work followed by true disconnected rest. The absolute magic of hormesis requires a perfect, delicate balance between the stressor and the recovery. If you just stress your body out constantly without resting, you risk burning out the battery all over again.
As we start to wrap up this explainer, our source material poses a genuinely fascinating hypothetical question. If someone walked up to you today and offered you $1 billion, but the catch was that tomorrow you would permanently lose the use of your arms and legs, would you take it? Of course not, right? Literally no amount of money is worth trading your baseline vitality. Foundational health is our single most valuable asset, hands down. Yet we completely take it for granted and degrade it every single day with poor, modern habits.
I think this quote perfectly summarizes the entire core philosophy of our analysis today. Living is practically synonymous with making your mitochondria work. Every single feeling of motivation, every spark of creativity, every ounce of physical vitality you possess starts right here, at this tiny, microscopic level. The power to go from 20% capacity all the way to 100% capacity is entirely in your hands. And the best part is, you don't have to change everything all at once. So, I'm going to leave you with this question. Which small ancestral habit are you going to reclaim to fuel your energy factory today? Will you switch up your salt? Will you brave a cold shower tomorrow morning? Just pick one, start today, and watch your energy absolutely soar. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.